We can start.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar on insiders tips on how to fortify your cybersecurity systems. I'm Vishwanoka, your host slash moderator from VTech Solution. For those who are just joining us for the very first time, I'll just give you a quick background of VTech. VTech is an IT consulting firm based out of Washington, D.C., specializing in cybersecurity, multi-cloud management, and digital modernization services. If you're willing to learn more about our company, please visit our website at www.vtechsolution.com. Today, we are fortunate to have two distinguished leaders with us. Our very first speaker is Subi Munyasamy, who is the CTO of Georgia Technology Authority. He brings an extensive experience in executing large-scale modernization efforts in state government. And joining us as a second speaker is Monte Brockett, CIO, CISO for the DC Department of Healthcare Finance, with over 15 years of experience in system security services for government initiatives. Thank you for joining us today. Pleasure to have you both, Subi and Monte. All right, so before we delve into the discussions, we will gonna have a quick poll to understand our audience and speakers' perspective. Please take a moment, everyone, to participate in the poll. You will gonna see two different questions on your screen for 30 seconds each. Here comes the questions. I'll just wait for 30 seconds more. All right, awesome. I think we are good. Thank you everyone for participating in the poll. Now let's start with the discussion. We will gonna have Q&A at the end of the webinar. I'll ask my very first question from you, Monte. When you hear the term zero trust, what is your definition of what zero trust is or isn't?
Okay. Thank you for that question. Great question to start off with. So, zero trust is a model assume that no implicit trust for any entity, whether it's inside or outside a network perimeter. It's based on principles of never trusting, right? And always verify. And, when you think about it in an organization, you want to think about what it is, and what it is a mindset, and what it isn't. It's nothing that is a one-time all-fit-all thing. It's a journey, and each organization needs to think about that journey as they continue on implementing those different capabilities.
That's right. Subi, would you like to add your thoughts on this term?
Yeah, great. Thank you, Vishnu. And I completely agree with Monte. This zero trust is nothing new. Zero trust has been always there very long time with the different type of organizations. If I really see one of the Clint Eastwood movie, he passed through various layers. Finally, he has to show his a half-tiered dollar bill to match it with the other person to view the data. So this has been there, but now, there are some sort of organizations who only use the zero trust before, don't trust anybody, validate everybody. So that is a kind of concept. Right now, it becomes a common lifestyle. The security is not anymore a special thing. It is kind of built in with everybody's lifestyle, not a single person, organization, country, it doesn't matter. So it needs to get built in. So that is the mode we are right now. Unfortunately, we are living in that kind of world. So everybody has to be very cautious about what is going on. So that is my definition of zero trust. Thank you.
Thank you, Shubhi. Monte, continuation to the same question as we look from past, present, and future, what emerging technologies pose the greatest security risk for agencies, such as private and public both, and how can these risks be mitigated?
That's a great question. I wouldn't want to say that, with emerging technology, I think, the existing technology still poses risk, right? When we talk about, a lot of the vulnerabilities that exist around our different environments, and we continue on seeing the evolution of AI as it's becoming more as a supportive tool to be able to circumvent different security controls around environments. I think that's one of the biggest risks. I think IoT is another thing where we have all of these devices that, we don't really understand from a organizational environment standpoint, connecting it to the internet and not understanding that security hardening process and that identification of those devices. It provides a risk for an organization that they are trying to protect those resources on the back end. Additionally, when we look at cloud services, we all are trying to shift that risk to cloud providers to mitigate a lot of the dependencies that we have on different hardware and software that we live on-prem. I think, being able to address those misconfigurations in those environments will allow us to close the gap and be able to identify the risk before they actually are exploited in our environment.
That's true, yes. All right. So in continuation to that, what are the critical success factors for implementing or sustaining a zero trust security culture in agencies?
I think that's a great question. I think, you have to first start out with leadership, buy-in, support, right? Implementing the zero trust requires a top-down commitment from the agency leaders. That's the first thing, right? They must understand the benefits and the challenges that zero trust actually puts on that environment, right? And that has to be aligned with the resources that organization has on site to be able to be prepared to be able to implement zero trust. Then we think about having a comprehensive planning and a roadmap. These are critical areas that you actually can measure your success in your organization as it pertains to meeting that zero trust executive order that's been passed down through President Biden. One of the biggest tenets of zero trust from a technical standpoint is identity and access management. Understanding and having that data-centric approach for implementation of zero trust is critical. Isolation from a network layer. You understand these capabilities, these pillars that, Forrester, Gartner, NIST through 800-207 has prescribed. I think you will be able to move closer to being able to achieve the goal and have that success that you are looking for within your organization ecosystem. So, for example, we are here now are trying to leverage the data sets that we have from our disparate systems controls here to be able to analyze that data, visualize that data, and leverage our security orchestration tools to be able to automate responses in our environment, whether this be from an identity perspective, even if somebody's internal to environment. We want to have dynamic policy through those policy enforcement points, using our firewalls, using our IDS systems, using our identity access management platform. These are the things or pillars that you need to be able to identify to be able to implement that zero trust roadmap. And this is a continuous thing. This is a journey. This is a year-to-year kind of improvement. So I think that organizations need to take that when trying to deploy this type of strategy within the organization.
Yeah, I was about to ask on the frequency side. So once we implement the zero trust, how frequent we need to make sure that we are having audits to make sure the implementation is on place and we are sustaining the culture that we have implemented. So you said yearly, right?
You definitely have to ensure that you have that continual diagnostic and monitoring. So your capabilities, you're using your native tools already. So you have your security information event management solution, the SIM solution. So you already have those correlation rules in there, right? It's just a matter of best practices and then continuing to process that. So I would say, from my understanding, is being able to improve that year in and year out. And that's auditing based off of different KPIs, see how you're improving in different areas as far as, hey, how many people are accessing my network resources from outside of a different country? You want to look at that network traffic to make that determination and factor as to how you are doing in the space of zero trust in that journey.
Makes sense, yes. Or following up with the discussion of culture, Subi, what role do you see employees play in cultivating cyber resilience and adopting this zero trust mindset within the organization?
In order to implement this zero trust, the employees' cooperation is the key. Every employee in the organization has to be a part of this zero trust mindset. Every employee. Even one employee did one mistake. With my previous experience, I can tell you, there's one employee just plugged in some the personal laptop into the network. That's it. Everything is gone. Does not matter how much the governance and the security firewalls, everything you put in the security does not matter. The employee training and their cooperation and participation in this zero trust mindset is very, very, very crucial for the organization. So right now, the employees, there are varieties of employees. Day to day, we are facing some kind of different type of issues to the employees. Somebody did not take their security training. Somebody do not know what is going on. Anything free, they install. Anything free, anybody install, it means we are under trouble. I can tell you that much. Because nothing in the world is free. If they are giving you free, they are collecting some information from you. Very simple.
Yeah.
So as long as you are having this type of mindset, just be very cautious. Somebody going to give you free, you have to ask a question. Why it is free? What are you getting out of it? If you have that kind of mindset, feed into each one of the employees, then it becomes easy for the zero trust mindset setup. Second, go ahead. You have some comment, Monte?
No, I agree. Everything that you're saying right there.
Yes, that is what we are facing every day. The next is enforcement. Right now, what is happening there is, if any one incident occur in any of the organization, everybody is going to jump onto that and find out what is the root cause, what needs to be done, Lot of actions and activities happen only during that time. After that, it is slowly subsidized and then we are forgetting it. We cannot forget. This zero trust has to be a part of our lifestyle. Like in the morning, you are waking up, you are taking bath, wearing your dress and coming to office. It has to be like this. Okay, the zero trust. We have to question anything coming for free. All those things has to be like a built-in. That is the only way we can do it. From the leadership perspective, we are just really realizing this, exactly how to keep the employees cooperate with this kind of activity. So we are having some very regular meetings, and from the leadership, we are continue to tell them, guys, you have to take care of the few things from top to bottom as well as from bottom to top. If bottommost person is saying something, please do not ignore. We are very, very resilient in listening to them and see in case there is any simple action coming out of that may impact. So we are very clear that is the only way we can have those type of person also participate in this process. So that is the kind of thing, in quality, there is a saying quality is everyone's responsibility. It's not only quality. Anything you do in your organization is everyone's responsibility, especially with respect to the security. Without that, we cannot do anything. Sometimes this comes up with some consequences, but it is okay. We have to bear with that, have set some tolerance and move on. So that is a kind of enforcement needs to have in a regular basis, and we have to do exercise regularly, not because of We went to a doctor said you have high cholesterol. If you do that, it's not going to sustain the model. So that is the type of mindset we need to change. It is a lot of work. We got to continue to work. That is my
Yeah, so a lot of times I see that there are proper training modules are out there from the IT on implementing or just making sure that you're working in a secure environment. But there are employees who maybe comes from a non-IT background or they are working on maybe administrative role or somewhere else. They don't understand the importance of security unless and until they become victim in that whole situation, right? I see a lot of emails in which there will gonna be attachment, and when you click on those, there's like something phishing email is going on, and there's something that messed up with my laptop, and I have to go to the IT, and uh, then they are educating us on not to open any unknown person's email or the attachment. So these, I think the initial training is a great idea, but we need to give them better real-time examples as well that this is something that has happened, and maybe a refresher on quarterly basis. That is what I think. What do you think, Subi and Monte?
I,
Oh,
I would
absolutely. Go ahead.
Oh, well, the education part of it, yes, that's just one phase of it. I think being proactive in our disciplines and looking out to the environment is critical in those regards, right? We can't expect our end users to act, in a way that secure our environment if we haven't been able to provide them the awareness of what that environment looks like, right? I think
Right.
we too much onus on an end user when we deploy all of these solutions. And I believe that we have to start implementing, being proactive in our security controls and thinking for them, right, in the environment. And, bring them along where they at, right? I think one of the things that I kind of excel in, in our organization is working with my user community, having an open line of communication, allow them to be able to have that one-on-one conversation where though they can ask me things specifically to a subject, might be an email, right? We have to do it from a technical standpoint and start to tune our email filtering policies, right? Using the data that we currently have to be able to be proactive and automate some of the responses that we have. And I know that we look at AI as, hey, it has this big privacy issue, right? But AI also will support some of the actions that we need in real time to be able to mitigate some of the risks, because we're not going to stop the threat actors. These AI tools are leveraged by them. You might hear adversarial AI technology that are, building some of these malware programs and being able to understand the vulnerabilities in our environment and be able to develop exploits. And, these things come in our environment just through these open source vulnerabilities. Look at SolarWinds, look at Cisco, look at Palo Alto. Nobody is immune to threats in this world, period, right? And, being and having that false narrative that we have to continue on pushing this on our users and not be proactive, as I think is the wrong strategy going forward.
Right. Yes, I agree on that. I have a next question for you, Monte, again. What are the practical steps agencies can take to transition from a trust-based security model towards zero trust architecture?
That's a great question. I don't want to say, transitioning, but actually leveraging, right? Because transitioning is saying that, hey, we have something that's not working, right? I think we do have it. I think we need to align what we are focused on based off the different pillars of zero trust. And whatever that may be to your organization, you need to use that as a guiding framework to implement and actually identify the areas that are most risky to that organization's critical mission. One thing that we are doing here at in my agency is assessing our cybersecurity posture, right? Across all of our environments, even from a third party standpoint, just getting that data. right? And then establishing pseudo code, right? To be able to articulate what that policy needs to look like from a policy enforcement point. And this is not, okay, let's reinvent the wheel, but let's leverage this technology we currently have today, right? And, I think I'm not, and I don't want to assume, but most organizations are in that next gen, that modernization of security technology and appliances within the environment. And we look at ZTNA, Zscaler, right? These things are truly mature now, right? And, we have to leverage these technologies. We have to leverage the partnerships to be able to achieve or get to that journey of zero trust. So is it transitioning? I don't say, I think it's leveraging, right? And I think that's the strategy and that's the concept that we should term. Subi?
Very well said, Monte. Um, you already mentioned a lot about AI, how it is making an impact in the outer world. So talking about AI, how can or should agencies effectively integrate AI-driven technologies into their cybersecurity defense strategies? If you could elaborate more on that side, maybe.
Yeah,
And
sure.
then Monty, please feel free to jump in.
Okay, no problem.
Absolutely. All right. This AI is the topic of the nation or world in today's. There's a big hype going on. This AI, it has been started like almost 50 years back. You all know why AI became like a big topic of the town or nation today because of the storage. Now storage is like very cheap, and we will be able to put a lot of information in one place and do whatever the analysis we want. That is the one reason today we are talking about AI. AI is there from the James Bond movie like 40 years back. So, from Hitchcock Engineering College in New Hampshire, that is where this AI started, like 50 years back. So overall, in order to implement AI in any agencies, since I am the state CTO, I can tell you, first we have to do the gap analysis. I'm not going to jump into implement AI just because of everybody want to do AI. So I'm just trying to find out really where is the gap? Is there any gap where we can really use this AI? I'll tell you a quick story. So far, we focus on so much of implementation of the automation, right? AI is kind of enhanced automation. That is how I'm seeing this AI. There are two people. One person's job is to dig the hole, like a 2 feet by 2 feet, dig a hole in the ground, and then every 10 feet, you have to do that and continue. He's doing his job per his requirement and continue to do it, get it paid at the end of the day and go home. The second person's job is to close the hole with that mud. And he is also doing his job. He is also getting paid every day. These are kind of like automation. Let us think like that. Now, there is one guy from top. He's keep on watching these two guys, what they are trying to accomplish. Then he could not able to resist. He came down and stopped. Hey, guys, I want to talk to you. All right, let's talk. What do you want? What you guys are trying to achieve? One is digging the hole. Another one is filling the hole with the mud. Same thing going on. Then after having some few discussion, he identified there is another person who is supposed to do the planting in that place. He is off for 2 weeks. Even though he's off, the work is continuing and these guys are getting paid. That kind of thing, that gap there is somebody to really realize there is a dependency which is missing in this piece, but both people are doing the work. So we need to identify that kind of gap and use this AI. Now we need to apply some level of intelligence, right? To really make sure whatever the work you are doing is really going to add some value.
Right.
That is the type of gap we need to really identify. Where is the gap in the agencies? Yeah. Second, we need to identify the right technology or right AI company who can think in this angle. In today's world, everybody, for me, I am meeting almost every day 2 to 3 different type of vendor community or partners always talk about this AI. Almost in the past 3 months, this is what every day some or other person talks about AI. But we need to pick the right company who can do the job for yourself. It needs to be very customized. Otherwise, like it is not really going to add value. The third item, I would say, we need to do a strong proof of concept. In the recent days, like I come across, there is some kind of like architecture we need to build. We built 10, 11 environment. Not even one is working properly. So we need to take one to make sure end to end it works properly and then implement it.
Okay.
Take a small piece. No need to take a very big complex piece and fail. The first war, the first fight, the first hit has to be a successful hit. So that is the lesson we have to learn. The last thing, now there is a big talk going on the ethics on AI. Okay, we are not going to teach ethics to the AI. To be honest, my personal feeling is we need to teach ethics to the person who does the coding for AI. Ethics on AI is good, nice topic, but how good is the topic or how good is the implementation if person is not ethical, right? So we need to reinstate the ethics on the human being, whoever is trying to touch the AI piece of the puzzle. It's very, very important. If you don't do that, and if you don't have that kind of like a high level ethical, trusted people enter into this AI world, it is going to be really challenging for everyone. So these are some of the key points I really want to tell you. Should agencies effectively integrate? Absolutely, we have to start the work. Because if you don't start, we are going to be very behind 5 years from now. It is going to take 5 years to get to certain level of maturity where we can reasonably accept the AI decisions. Right now, AI is just going to be an enabler. As a human, we need to be in the loop to make a decision. AI cannot make decisions. So nobody can escape. I can tell you one thing. From the government perspective, even if they are implementing AI, if they provide some kind of wrong suggestions, they are not off the hook from the process. And from the government perspective, if people are making a decision based on the AI suggestion, that is also not acceptable. At the end of the day, the person whoever is making the decision is responsible for the decision, not the AI. So that is how I'm seeing it. We have to go, whether we are matured or not, but take some low-hanging fruit where there is a very low impact items now. Generally, we take a high impact item, but please don't go there. Take a low impact item, implement it, validate, and validate to make sure the results are good and move on. Thank you.
And I definitely agree everything what Subi said. For my opinion, my perspective on that AI and cybersecurity, we definitely have to, be aware that a lot of the tools, the security tools that we have in place today that most of us use from an enterprise standpoint is leveraging AI in the back end, right? For the data analytics standpoints, right? And some organizations have even moved a little bit further where they're looking at explainable AI, right? And, we are being cautious at my agency because we do deal with a lot of sensitive data, right? And we want to understand as stewards of that data, how it's being used, how it's being processed, how it's been stored and shared, right? And that comes with being able to explore that technology even more, right? And understanding and doing those POCs and those proof of values before actually turning it into production. Now, some enterprise solutions from a security perspective, like your EDR platform, are already leveraging that. They're taking your data, they're taking the data from most of your people, enriching it with threat intelligence data, and popping out these false positives and giving you a risk secure score on that specific device or that specific entity. But as we go further in our maturity life cycle, we're going to hear, and I'm not in a position to say, but we're going to be leveraging AI to detect fraud, abuse as it pertains to social programs. So, and I've heard hospitals will be, identifying risky patients using AI. CMS has some things that's going on. So I think that we see a lot of adoption of it. I think we are all still struggling with what those policies, those processes, what those frameworks are. I think we do see some companies kind of leading that trend. Normally, government is some of that kind of first people that moves the market, but industry has did a great job in stewarding that, being a driver of it, and they have been developing like Anthropic, AWS AI platform. They have this AI responsible use policy that, how you should verify and validate the models prior to implementing or integrating them into your environment. So we have tons of use cases today that's been using AI for a long time. And back in the day, it was called discriminative AI. Now we're talking about transformative, whereas though we're able to create new data sets on old data that we had. So I think we're moving in the right direction. And to answer your question, security is already leveraging it. From identity access management standpoint, you look at Okta, you look at Microsoft Entra. From an identity governance standpoint, AI is being used to analyze those large data sets to be able to derive information. And I agree with Subi, right? The human should be in the loop, right? Because you don't want to automate processes and responses to different alerts without a human being in it to be able to determine it was a false positive or was it a positive, right? So that's an important aspect of this whole type of idea of implementing AI in an environment.
Very well said, Monte. I actually like the both responses from you guys. I think we should do one webinar on AI specifically. All right, moving on to the another question that I have for you, Subi. What are the key regulatory and governance challenges associated with implementing AI in agency cybersecurity and how they can be addressed?
Oh, yes. Especially when it comes to this government, like the government operates slightly different way. For example, a simple meeting, right? If you're conducting a meeting, there are tools available to record or like translate or just to take the notes, and it can generate a very nice meeting notes, right? If I enable that piece, what happens is all my meetings have been recorded, and once it is recorded in any shape or form, we are liable to provide this information outside as part of the FOIA request. FOIA means like the Freedom of Information Act, right? If in case, what is the discussion happened with that particular vendor on 11 to 12 a.m. this time, because we have it recorded with the AI intelligence, whatever we put, now we are liable to give that out. This kind of like, this I'm talking about a very practical, my day-to-day challenge. Because of that, I'm unable to use that AI. Otherwise, like my job becomes easier, but I have to face this type of consequences of like giving a lot of things. Is it something we can give out everything? Probably yes, and may not be. Depends on what you are discussing and what needs to be discussed, right? So that is the kind of one of the key challenge we have. The second one is the AI I thought about using for RFP development. If you're really seeing from the government perspective, the longest pole in the tent is the RFP process. From soup to nuts, anywhere it takes between like 18 to 36 months. 18 to 36 months. So this is a very common thing. Why don't we use AI to really rectify this? So that is a kind of discussion I had for like a couple of hours. But there are some kind of challenges, as you said, as we discussed before. There may be a data leakage, right? We are talking about data, secure data transfer, all those things. If I use AI for this purpose, everybody says, like there are some different type of AI chat we can use, chatbot we can use, but overall, due to some negligence, something got leaked out, it is going to be beyond 36 months. There is a protest, there is a blah, blah, blah. There are so many other things coming to play. So
Right.
this kind of challenge, are we there yet? Probably not, but we have to go there. The next thing is we can use AI for some of the evaluation. We can use AI for the project management. Today's world, a lot of government projects either got delayed or failed.
Yeah.
Lot. I can just name a lot, actually. Only some few percentage is very successful. What is the reason for that? Can we use AI to really alert and do some kind of analysis of a given project in a daily basis so that we don't spend a lot of money for which we are not going to see the end result? So we can use these kind of areas. But the challenge is anything we use, we have to really be responsible for the downstream impact of the FOIA request and other things.
Yeah.
The regulatory compliance, like the policies, like that place, we can use AI for some of the, I would say, like the attorneys, right? Attorney has to write down like a lot of policy documents. AI can be very much helpful. That kind of like low-hanging fruit we are trying to implement right now. That is our first step. But this kind of challenges, whatever I mentioned, it will take maybe 1 or 2 more years to get there. But we already started going that direction. We cannot wait, right? Because like we have to go with that. Without us, AI is going. We have to. It is better to go along with that. So that is my take. These are the key challenges I can share right now.
Very well said. Yes.
What are the key regulatory governance challenges, right? I really, I don't think the regulatory challenges have changed per se. We're still required to protect customer data, and we are stewards of that data. And if we are set up in our environment from that zero trust implementation that we're supposed to be doing, then, AI, fits seamlessly in that whole picture as well, because AI is derived by data, right? So at one of the 7 pillars of zero trust implementation, data is one, right? And application is one. And how do you put policy decision points in front of that specific model? And how do you make sure from a data warehousing perspective that you're tagging those data elements? Because, you want to be able to monitor the data as it traverses your network, north and south, east and west, right? And to do that, you have to have attributes about that data and have policy enforcement points that can be able to prevent access to that data and also prevent that data from coming out. So, for example, we all are currently using DLPs, data loss prevention. If we are tagging our data and we are using as best practices, then we are one step closer into the AI journey and the zero trust journey to be able to align both strategies and be able to adopt this technology in a secure way. We will still have to report out to our federal agencies, whereas it be CMS, whereas it be HHS, whereas it be NDNH or FNS. All of these have these great rules and guidelines as to how we are supposed to protect said data. But we have to be creative in our implementation of the technology to ensure that we are still keeping pace with emerging technologies, but also protecting and improving our security control environment to ensure that this data is not leaked or we do not suffer biasness and or data theft and cyber intrusions like we have and currently are going through in a lot of our environment. So that's how I look at it. I don't think the governance, and I think all of this is not going to change. It's still here. It's about data. We are stewards of data. We're supposed to be protecting data. So no matter what the technology is, we have to understand the technologies. We have to be able to implement control, and we have to use the data to make decisions. And throughout that journey, automation will be a critical point to do that. But humans will have to be in that loop to be able to make that last decision from a validation standpoint.
Yeah, I agree totally. What a great perception to look at the data side as well. We only have 5 minutes left now. It's time to open for the floor to our audience for questions. Feel free to submit our questions in the chat, and we will address as many as we can. So let's see if we get any. I'll get the chat as well. All right, until we are getting, if we get any question, we'll answer that. Monte and Subi, any closing remarks, or just want to say anything related to cybersecurity, how these guys can maybe start making a small changes in daily activities so they are creating a secure environment around them.
Monty, you want to go first? You are on mute.
Monte, you're on mute. Oh, sorry.
So I
now
think,
I can hear you.
Oh, that's good. So I think, being intentional, right? Being, intentional about, your strategy, being transparent with your user community, establishing partnership with these vendors, and understanding the technology from a cybersecurity strategy. Everything is not going to be easy. I can tell you this, so we probably can tell you this. You're going to have roadblocks and continue on having roadblocks in your day-to-day operations. But what I can tell you is that stick to your strategy. Use what you have. Sometimes budget is always a problem as it pertains for government agencies, and that's where we are here for the next couple of years. So if you do have enterprise solutions or security controls in place, see how you leverage data. Don't just think as data as just this invaluable asset or resource that you have in your environment. Utilize it because it actually has the opportunity for that specific user or environment to be able to detect and actually make decisions on your behalf. Whereas though without that visibility, you aren't able to pinpoint, identify threats kind of early in the life cycle, which, where we hit threat actors is in our environment for a minimum of 13 days. So if somebody's in your environment for 13 days and you aren't following those best practices, doing patch management, not doing data analysis from a threat perspective, not keeping up to date with the threat intelligence that's being displayed on the news every single day, then you're going to be 10 steps behind of your competitors and your adversaries as it pertains to protecting said resources. So just be intentional about what you're doing. Work with your team. Work with them every single day. I know at our level with Deputy CIO and Chief Information Security Officer for DHCF, I think I pride myself in always having that open door for my team members so we can discuss and brainstorm and solution things out so we can drive kind of that strategy to the overall community in IT.
Great advice, Monte. Subi, would you like to add on something here?
Yes, absolutely. I do have one. I can see there is one person asked the question.
Yeah, the question is how AI will impact cybersecurity staffing needs in government. That's a very interesting question.
Yeah, I can answer that question because we are talking about that right now.
Sure.
It is going to
Sure.
it is going to have a huge impact. We want to hire a lot of cybersecurity people with the AI. It means we are going to double the strength fundamentally. So it is a positive impact. Nobody going to get laid off because of this AI. We are going to hire more number of people. So that is the kind of impact we are going to have. I hope I answered the question to them. Any other question came?
Yes, we have 2 more questions. One question is, can you share any recent cybersecurity incidents or threats that your organization has encountered and what lessons were learned from them? We're talking about government organizations now.
Yeah, I can share some few things, like any one incident, I'm not going to be very specific, but in general, I can say any one incident is going to cost like hundreds and millions of dollars. It's not millions, it's hundreds of millions. Okay. So there are some incidents happen because of in the government, still we are operating with a lot of legacy systems. Some of the things doesn't have a backup. Very simple thing. There's no backup for some of the application systems. There's no backup for some of the data systems. We are talking about like a very crucial health data where there's no backup. So due to some reason, one incident occurred, what happens? We lost the data completely. We lost that application. We are unable to bring back the servers. So this is the type of issues and challenges we are facing. Right now, we are talking about the employee. In case if you are hiring a government employee, like the employment, you have like, okay, there is a line item saying like there's a 401k. Another line item saying like there is a medical insurance. Another line item saying long-term disability, right? Now there is a line item saying cybersecurity insurance. Anybody knows about this? Now we are talking about every employee has to be part of the cybersecurity insurance, similar to medical insurance. Even the cybersecurity insurance is much more costlier. So that is the route we are going. It means everybody going to have a level of responsibility to address this cybersecurity, because cybersecurity is going to be like a very peak and critical piece of our lifestyle. It impacted to your paycheck, a line item saying cybersecurity insurance. That is the impact it is going to have. All right. I think I answered that particular question. What is the next question? Last question.
We have last question is, in light of emerging technologies and evolving threats, what steps are you taking to continuously enhance and fortify your system, cybersecurity systems and protocols?
I think Monte is the expert in this.
Yeah, I would say for the emerging technology involving threats, what we are doing is this year specifically looking at governance as kind of that big piece. And we're leveraging OSCAL, Open Security Control Assessment Language, which is kind of fairly new. And, to Fortify, we're developing compliance as code, right? So we can be able to assess our on-premise and cloud resources and be able to have that automated continuous assessment of our controls. This right here provides us a risk score on a continuous basis that allows us to be able to direct or instruct our policy enforcement points, which would be your, say, IDS systems, firewalls, your next gen type of technologies, to be able to act on a specific identification and attribute to that specific resource. So we're trying to be dynamic in the way that we close the door to specific resources and open the door. One of the things that we're kind of fortifying is our privileged access management methods, right? We're looking at that and how we leverage that to give that just-in-time access to resources. So that is the things that you enrich what you have, because what we have are those modernized technologies, like a lot of the areas here, from EDR to XDR to our next-gen firewalls to automation to data analytics and visualization. All of those things are in this one pot and our ingredients to this overall kind of zero trust aspect, whereas though it will actually enhance our cybersecurity systems and protocols by leveraging all of these different pillars. So I hope that answers your question.
Okay, I can close it out with my closing comment very quick. Is that okay, Vishnu?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, very quick. Yes, like this cybersecurity or the zero trust, to my knowledge, what my experience is, has to be like our breakfast. Every day you are eating breakfast, you have to exercise this. So that is the take, like a 7 days exercise and everyday breakfast. That is how only by having that kind of enforcement and reputation, we can get to the zero trust standard. Thank you.
Yeah. I think he had the last question. If you give one main piece of advice to someone to start. So I would say cloud security posture management, right? Security posture management. Whether it be cloud security posture management, that would be one advice to harden your visibility. First, you need to get visibility into your resources, right? Once you get the visibility in your resource, you can start making decisions. That starts there. That's in that journey. From a actual specific technology, EDRs. Make sure that you have an EDR in place. Move the actual security closest to the asset so it can make decisions in real time, right? And you can be able to instruct that security control to shut down that resource at any time. I think that's the most important thing. The day and age of being able to just have perimeter firewalls are over. With remote access and all of these IoT devices, you have to be able to be dynamic in your approach and your response to security-related incidents and events, and you have to have that information available to you in real time. So invest into a security information event management solution, a SIEM. Hopefully it's a modern SIEM, and use those correlation rules to be able to fortify your environment from an alerting standpoint. Yeah.
All right, I think we are good now. We don't have any other questions and we are over time as well. So as we wrap up, a big thanks to Subi and Monty, both of you, for sharing your insights. It was a great session. I personally had a lot of fun and definitely learned a lot on cybersecurity side. So thank you all for your active participation and engagement. We'll see you all in future webinars from Vedic Solution. Until next time, goodbye and take care.
Thank you all. We really appreciate this conversation.
Thank you, everyone.
That was great. Bye and have a good day.